What are some thoughts and feelings that you're having right now?
Yeah, so a lot of thoughts and they're constantly circulating in my mind. So one moment I'm like really excited to...
Welcome, beautiful people, to the Lost and Local podcast. We're Adam
And Hannah.
Two Korean citizens who grew up abroad and are now figuring out life in Korea.
Join us as we share stories and our honest perspective on what it means to be lost and local.
All right, well, we've got a banger episode today, but before we get into the breaking news, we are going to go into an icebreaker to get us settled down. This will be a fun icebreaker. Hannah, what's our icebreaker?
Okay. So you know how the older we get, the easier it is to stay within our comfort zones? So my question for today is, what's something new you've done recently or something new you want to do?
This is a timely question because I just did something for the first time.
Wow.
Basically completely wiped out my operating system on my Lenovo Legion Go. I'll show a picture of it.
Also specific.
But it's technically a handheld gaming Windows device.
Oh, okay.
I decided that I was going to completely delete and take out the whole operating system and try to put on SteamOS. So I was kind of nervous. I did go through the process of backing up my Windows so that if I want to like maybe resell my device, I can put in the old operating system. Hopefully I did that right. And then I saved it. I was proud of myself. I was really worried that I was going to brick the device, which basically means that the device is wiped away and you can't do anything with it.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh, my wife probably won't be happy if I just completely brick this nice device. But I'm going to try to make the effort and see if I can do it. Kind of glad that this old man learned something new.
That's really cool.
And now my device runs so much faster. So, Hannah, how about you? What's something new that you've done recently or something new that you want to do?
This was a hard question because I feel like this whole year, in a sense, is kind of new outside of my comfort zone.
True that.
There's something I really want to do, which is to learn how to cook Thai food.
Oh.
Yeah. So I love Thai food. I love pad Thai. I love, pad siu? Like all the different types of noodles I love. And on like YouTube, they make it look so easy, but you have to commit to buying like new spices, right? Because I'm used to cooking Korean food. Well, not even, because in Korea, I like never cook. You can just go buy food.
And it's cheaper and convenient.
Yeah. And it tastes way better. So I haven't really been cooking, but I've always loved like buying recipe books and like thinking about trying new cuisines, but I never commit to it. And I always go back to my normal, my easy go-to meals. So that's something I want to try, like learning how to cook new food.
Oh, yeah. Thai food's great. We went to Thailand and ate like real Thai food. Crazy good.
Yeah.
And crazy inexpensive.
So cheap.
It's crazy. But yeah, that's cool. Yeah. You'll have to make us Thai food before you leave. We'll be your like test group.
Also very new, like very soon.
So we've got some breaking news. Oh my goodness. Say it isn't so. Speaking of trying something new, there is some news that we have to share with our listeners. And this is not easy for me to deliver because yeah. So Hannah, you're going to have to share with our listeners this breaking news. What in the world is going on?
Yeah, so I no longer will be local to Korea and I will be moving to India, New Delhi.
Oh my gosh. So I did have some insider information. This was something that was in the works, but it wasn't for sure. So I was very conflicted because, I want to hope the best for Hannah. And, as a Christian, I pray for Hannah and her situation, but I was selfishly praying that that door would be closed and that she would find herself staying in Seoul. So, oh my gosh, New Delhi. I'm going to show where New Delhi is on the screen because actually right now, I don't know where New Delhi is exactly in India, but I did do some investigating on New Delhi on some YouTube things to see like what you were getting yourself into.
Same. Yeah.
So, oh my gosh. So what was the process? Like, why are you going to New Delhi? Why aren't you staying in Seoul? Why aren't you like being committed to the Lost and Local podcast audience? What is going on? So,
okay. Yeah. To be clear, I am committed to this podcast.
Yes.
I will continue.
I did that. Yeah. That was a misdirection. We are hoping that we will be able to remotely continue the Lost and Local podcast.
But the funny thing is, whenever I share the news that I'm moving, the second question they ask me is like, what about the pod? So we have some like very faithful listeners right now who are like invested.
Hey, we're double digits in our podcasting career.
We are.
Yeah, that's amazing.
Mm-hmm. But the process. So
okay.
It was actually a very interesting process. I kind of mentioned this before, but I was working at a Korean company until February, right, of this year.
Has it been that long already? Yeah. Oh my gosh. I feel like you just left. Moved on from that part of your life.
Yeah. So I got a job in December. I like worked for a little over 2 months at that company. And then I just didn't feel like I was using all of my like my full potential. I didn't really feel like I was using my full potential there. And I think the question that I kept wrestling with was, is this better than teaching? Am I actually upgrading my life from teaching, or is this not an upgrade at all? And I think I wrestled a lot with that because like, how do you even define upgrade? How do you define what's important? As I was wrestling with that, I did seek a lot of support from like my network. I talked to a lot of different people in the fields that I was interested in. At the end of the day, I came to this realization that I don't care what I do on a daily basis, but I do care why I'm doing it. And for me, something has to be meaningful, and it can't just be we're making money. But a lot of businesses, they have to operate on that model, and there's nothing wrong with that. It just doesn't suit my personality and my values. And so I came to this realization that I have to go back to teaching, even though I announced that I was leaving teaching like a couple months ago. But this year, I think stepping away from teaching really gave me perspective into who I am as a person and like what I find value in and meaning in. And I think it is with people and watching people grow and like building relationships with people. And I can't say that all of my students actually learn something from me, because not everyone is interested in English or like
literature.
Yeah. They don't need to be poets, right? They don't all need to be poets, but I do think through relationships, there is growth. Like we're learning how to coexist with each other. We're learning empathy. We're learning how to be like resolve conflict. So all those things I think are really important things I find value in. And watching my students grow in that way is very meaningful to me. So I came around that conclusion around March. If you know anything about the international school system, people are done hiring by December of the previous year. And so by March, it was very slim pickings, like very hard to find anything in Korea.
Why couldn't you have figured this out before the hiring process, Hannah? Then she would have stayed here in Seoul.
But that's not true, because Korea is one of the most competitive countries to work in for international school teachers. Yeah. Because I mean, like, it's really nice. It's easy to live. Korea and like Singapore are one of the most competitive places. So I don't even know if I would have had a chance if I applied in the normal season. But anyway, so it was March. I was kind of like, ooh, I kind of messed up. I don't have a plan B, which is very odd because I'm usually like someone who has plan LMN OP, but I had no plan. Yeah, all the way.
The MBTI Myers-Briggs.
Yeah, but I didn't have any plans, and I was just like starting to apply to different places and like research like what are these countries like, because even though I grew up in different countries, I've only actually lived in 3. And so Like, I don't know what life is outside of those
That's funny that you
countries.
say only lived in 3, where most people are like, I've only lived in one
one.
state, much less 3 countries.
Yeah, but when you
It's all
interact,
relative.
it's very relative because when you talk to other TCKs, like diplomat kids,
Oh, yeah.
they've lived in like 11, 12 countries
Sure.
by the time they're like my age. So
And that's who you were like building relationships with in
Yeah,
universities and when you were in high school. So that makes sense.
yeah. So
yeah.
in comparison, I don't feel like I have that much experience. So I was just like, oh, like I could see myself living in Singapore. There was an opening in Amsterdam, and I was like, I would love to live in Europe. Like I've never lived in Europe, so
Oh, don't live in Europe. Sorry, Europeans. I actually have some YouTube friends and that live in Europe. Sorry, my
but
bad.
I was open. I was like, oh, I'd be down, but I just didn't get any callbacks, and I was really surprised because I've taught for 7 years. I'm a seasoned teacher.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
you've got their credentials, you've got the experience.
So I was like, wow, the international school like field is actually really competitive. Like I didn't realize it was this competitive. And then out of the blue, I get this email from a school in India, who will not be named for privacy reasons. And they were like, oh, like we really liked your resume. Would you be interested in doing an interview? And so I guess I got scouted. And I was like,
and you were not expecting this.
No. I had uploaded my resume to these different like platforms. I just never expected to be reached out to. And so I was like, oh, it's in India. I have nothing to do with India. And I don't know. I don't really see myself moving there, but why not? Why not just interview? Because it's a small world. Maybe my interviewee moves to a different like school and they think of me and they recruit me.
That's a good thought process.
Yeah,
I didn't even think of that.
At least I get like interview experience. I hadn't interviewed in a while,
Yeah.
so I was like, I'll brush up on my interview skills. Why not? And I just had a very open mind. So I went in, and maybe it's because I wasn't there to impress anyone. I thought I had a great interview. I was just very myself, and I'm very passionate about diversifying curriculum, and I think the students need to be reading authors who look like them or are from similar cultural backgrounds as them, which is not always the case in schools.
Okay.
There's like a canon, like Shakespeare, like all those things, and you have to stick to the canon. I don't believe in that because if you can't relate to the literature, like how are you going to understand symbolism? Like you can't really go deeper, or it's harder to go deeper unless you find that it's related to you in some way. And so I was like very honest about like, these are the kinds of things that I really believe in. This is my educational philosophy. These are my concerns. And the weird thing about teaching is a lot of no shade, but a lot of admin are not teachers.
Okay.
Some have business backgrounds, some have other administrative backgrounds, but many of them have not taught in a long time or have not taught, period. So I was very honest with them about that. I was like, what is your policy for putting people in positions of higher authority and leadership? Like, are you choosing within your department?
Look at you.
Yeah. And like, how do you treat women? Because India, it very different from like the US in terms of like women empowerment.
Oh, are they a little behind? I'm not aware of the
I don't think women have as many rights as people. And again, very relative. And I'm coming from a American background. And so I like had those concerns. And what was really cool was my school, like many people in leadership positions are women. And they were like people who had started off as interns at the school.
That's promising.
Yeah. And they went from intern to like someone in a more like a permanent position, and then from there to leadership. And it was all across the school, not just in teaching. It was like also in like the HR side, and also, I don't want to go into too many details, but like other staff members, a lot of them were women. And so I was like, oh, that's really cool. There's like a lot of women empowerment. What do I have to do with India? Like, I have no experience with India. That was a great interview. Like, great. It's nice meeting you. And then I just like kind of signed off and not expecting anything. And then immediately the next day, they were like,
Really?
yeah, they were like, we really liked you.
Oh, if they contacted you the next day, they were worried that you might get snatched
Maybe. I don't know.
or that you would find interest elsewhere. For them to respond that quickly, they really liked you.
I hope so. I would like to think that narrative.
Wow.
Yeah. So then they were like, do you want to do a demo lesson? I haven't done a demo lesson in 8 years, eight,
Okay.
9 years, because my second job, I didn't need to do a demo lesson. They just hired me. So I haven't done it since I graduated college. This is really important experience for me because where else am I going to practice like doing a demo lesson with actual high schoolers? And so I was like, oh yeah, I'd love to do a demo lesson. So I do this demo lesson. It was a train wreck the first 10 minutes because I didn't get the right Zoom link.
Oh.
Because I was supposed to talk with HR immediately after the demo lesson to do a debrief. So I thought that link was the link for everything, but they were two separate links. So I pressed the wrong link. I was like waiting in a room by myself, and I'm like, it's like 5
They're
minutes.
like, she's
past.
running late.
Yeah, what's going on? And thankfully, the person in charge of my case was like, oh, here's the link, and like she immediately was helping me out. So
Okay.
I was only 5 minutes late, and then we were on a conference call, and instead of having a whole view of the entire room, I saw like heads. Like I got 24 squares on my screen and they were just like zoomed in heads.
Oh.
So I didn't get a full picture of the room. I just
Okay.
saw like people's heads. So I didn't know who was sitting next to who. Yeah. It was just very confusing and they
Okay.
couldn't change the camera settings.
Okay.
So I was just like, hey, class, I have no idea where you're sitting. So you're going to have to help me out. We're just going to go around in a circle and we're going to just like answer these questions together and we're going to discuss. And the students were really helpful. And they're like, oh, like this person's sitting next to me. Like, can you go? And they were like helping me. I think after that, seeing how supportive the students were, I think my nerves really calmed down. And I wasn't as flustered, even though the first 10 minutes was like horrible, and very chaotic. I was like, oh, like these are the students. Like I'm used to hanging out with students. These students feel just like my students back in the States. And it just felt very natural and very normal. And I had a lot of fun talking to these students. And what was different from Boston was there were so many different accents. There were like 4 or 5 different accents. Even though we were all speaking English, there were like various accents. And I thought that was so powerful because as a third culture kid, you only hear American accents and like there's only one way of saying it correctly. But in reality, the world is much broader than America, right? And so to see a space where multiple accents are appreciated and like they exist, I was like, that's so beautiful. And I would love to work at this kind of school. So my heart went from like 0% interest to like maybe 35%.
Okay.
And I was like, oh, that demo lesson went really well. I'm glad I agreed to do it. Like, what a beautiful school. They have such a good, like a cohort of students. But still, I was like, I'm still looking for a place in Korea because.
Yeah. And I remember that during this time, I was like, wait a minute. India, please, no. Like this school, like, please don't take her.
And also from your perspective, it would have probably been really odd because I went in being like, oh, I'm just practicing.
Yeah.
And then the next week I'm like, oh, I'm interviewing again. And then the week after I was like, I might take the job. And so it was a very quick progression for you and Hyojin. It was, I could imagine it being very shocking. But one thing led to another, and one day I found myself getting an offer from the school. It was a pretty solid offer, and I wasn't hearing from any other schools.
Wow.
Even though I had emailed them and been like, I'm expecting an offer pretty soon. Can you let me know where I am in the process? None of them replied. The more I talked to people in international schools, the more I realized, oh, like the countries I was looking at are very competitive countries. Like everyone wants to live there. Obviously, like that's why I wanted to go there too.
Like Singapore, Amsterdam,
Taiwan, Hong Kong, like
yeah.
Korea, very popular destination. Sure. So I was like, oh, it might not be bad to work in India. And the more research I did, the more I realized there's actually quite a high number of Korean expats in New Delhi because of companies, like bigger companies who are relocating workers.
Yeah. And even before you were letting me know about India, I kind of keep up with tech news, and India is becoming the new China because a lot of companies, because of the political climate in the world, we're pulling a lot of our companies out of China. And
that makes sense.
where are we taking them?
India.
So India is going to start making inroads to, I think there'll be a lot more diversity in India, and a lot more companies are looking to plant themselves there.
Yeah.
So,
it's a growing market, right?
Yeah.
Then I was like, oh, I'm actually a needed sort of bridge for this school and for those students. In a lot of ways, I think I can learn a lot from the school, and the school can use me to my full potential. I signed that offer, and
crazy.
Moving in like a month.
And I feel like because it wasn't on your radar, and because you kind of went into the application like, well, I don't have this overarching pressure. This was the school that was on my top list. So I'm kind of nervous. I'm not sure exactly sure how I can be myself. But because there was no pressure, you were able to like unapologetically be you and like let them know this is my intentionality. This is my actual way of, you weren't trying to win them over. So I think they really loved it, because I think probably a lot of the candidates try to just tell them what they think they want to hear.
Yeah.
And that's one thing about Hannah, is she's very intentional, like and I like the fact that you communicate it too. So I think the school was almost like, this is a breath of fresh air.
I hope so.
Yeah.
I mean, I also play the game, right? Like when they ask you for your weakness, you don't really tell them your weakness. Like I have that much knowledge and sense, but you're right. I wasn't dying to get this job.
Yeah.
And if I had to do another year here and just wait out until October of this year for the next hiring season, I was open to doing that.
Oh, shucks. Really?
I mean, that wouldn't be the best for me.
True.
It would be another year.
Because it would be bad on the resume too.
Yeah, very bad on my resume.
Yeah.
Also, I think I feel a little restless in Korea because I don't really have a role.
Yeah.
And I'm just kind of floating and just existing. And I don't think I could do this for another year. It was great for 1 year, but I don't know if I wanted to do it for another year. So I was just like, I think this is actually a very good option. And because the school has really nice winter and summer breaks, I can come out to Korea every 6 months, get to see Adam, get to see my parents.
Yes.
So I was like, that's actually better than Boston. When I was in Boston, well, granted, in the middle, there was a pandemic, but
True.
I only came out every 3 years, 2-3 years.
Oh.
It wasn't that easy to visit Korea because of the distance and also like visa stuff. But if I go to India, I'm coming out every 6 months. So that's actually really nice.
What's there's like breaks? Is it 1 month in the summer, or like a few weeks in the summer, a few weeks in the winter? Is that how that works?
Yeah.
Or?
So in the winter, their break is like 3.5 weeks.
Okay.
So almost a month.
Okay.
And then summer is 2 months.
Okay. The 3.5 weeks is generous.
Yeah.
For winter break.
Yeah. And
That's
then
nice.
in October, they have a 2-week break because of like Diwali and
nice.
Yeah. So it's actually not bad.
You could like devote those 2 weeks to just exploring.
Yeah, I know. I want to do more travel. I want to definitely go to Singapore, see my friends, go to New Zealand to see the Lord of the Rings.
Go to Hobbiton.
I know. I really, really, really want to go. I'm a fan. So yeah.
I heard that it's pretty expensive, but that's a side note. So yeah, now that because when you came to Korea and you took on that job where you were doing more the back end of education, and I know that you kind of alluded to the fact that it felt refreshing to interact with students again. How do you feel about returning to teaching after you thought that you basically kind of left that stage behind? What's that?
Yeah.
How does it feel?
Very mixed emotions. Definitely a lot of fear, actually, because I already know how hard teaching is. Because when I first started teaching, I love students. Like, this is my passion. I didn't know anything about the reality of being a teacher. And so I went in blind. And there's this like Korean saying that not knowing is actually like good medicine. So sometimes ignorance is bliss.
Yeah.
So I went into teaching being very, very ignorant. I think that's why I was able to stay for that long, because I was very oblivious. But now, after going through like burnout and disillusionment, I think there is fear that, am I just walking back into this hole? Am I insane for doing this? And right now, the trend in a lot of states in the US is teachers switching to different careers and leaving teaching.
Really?
So there's actually a huge teaching shortage.
Really?
Yeah, it's pretty bad. And I mean, I totally agree with them, because they're not getting paid. They're working overtime. A lot of states, teachers have to have 2-3 jobs to make ends meet. And I don't think that makes any sense considering how consuming this job is.
Yeah.
Safety issues. There's so many school shootings.
Yeah.
No change in legislation. There is a vaping problem. There are phone addiction problems. My school, we started having a lot of attendance issues post-COVID. Students just couldn't. And there were no supports, like sustainable supports for these students. And so there's like, teaching is a really hard job already, but modernity, it's even harder. So I think there's a little bit of fear that I'm going to regret this in like 10 years. But at the same time, I think I feel really excited because I know what I value now. And I think while I was going through burnout, all of that kind of disappeared. I was just surviving day to day. I was just like, I need to wake up, get through 6 hours, come back home, and like, that's all I can focus on. And I couldn't really think about, why am I doing this? What do I value? And I'm a very values driven person. So after like resting for a year, I think I feel really good about realizing why I value certain things, and realizing that it doesn't really matter what I'm doing as long as I'm doing it for something was a huge realization for me. And I don't think I had that perspective before I did this gap year.
Okay.
And so I was very hung up on like, I want to do something creative. Like I want to do something, whatever. And like, those are the requirements for my next career. But now I'm like, oh, I can do anything, which is what a teacher does, right? They do put on a lot of hats, but they're doing it because they believe in this growth, in this relationship with the students. And that's why all these like mundane things, like making handouts, like making PowerPoints, like all these things that are not fun, they have value because it's going to help some student.
Okay.
Yeah. So in that way, I feel good. And I always thought high schoolers were like hilarious.
Oh.
You think that way about middle schoolers, right? Because you've worked with middle schoolers for a long time.
I worked with both ages.
Oh, okay,
Yeah.
okay.
The youth ministry was 7th through 12th grade.
I see. They're funny. Teenagers are funny.
Oh yeah, I mean, youth are great.
Yeah.
I mean, I was in youth ministry for 17 years, so I worked with the similar age groups that Hannah did.
Yeah.
So I can definitely understand where you're coming from.
And they keep me young.
Yeah.
I am young, but like they always are teaching me new things.
For sure.
And I love it when they're like, Miss Jang, do you know about this? And it's something from my generation that just got reformed.
Yeah, like
and
regurgitated and like
and it's
some new
back.
style.
But for them, it's like new. And for me, it's like, I've been there, done that, like bell bottoms, like, like all those things. So it's like hilarious to see them want to like educate me. And then I'm just like, it was there before you were born.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, that's cool. I feel like of being a teacher, you went through probably in a period of one of the more difficult times to be a teacher with COVID. I mean, it's a once in a century pandemic.
Yeah.
And you were a teacher literally during that time. So you kind of went through the fire and God was kind of like refining you through that fire. And so I feel like because you went through that and you went from bright-eyed, bushy-tailed, ideal teacher to you went through all that, survived, and now, fortunately, after it's all said and done, you realize that teaching was more about the relationships. And I think that's the most, give it up to Hannah, man. That's like, that's so important. Like you don't see teaching as just a theory or just a job. You look at it, you see it as relationships. And I think that's going to pay it forward. I feel like a lot of the students are going to be very blessed to have you as a teacher.
I hope so.
I would have loved you as a teacher if I was a kid. Yeah.
I don't know, Adam.
Our teachers were stodgy and older. And no shade against my teachers, but we had some definitely seasoned teachers, I should say. Maybe kind of like not appreciating their job anymore type of teachers.
Yeah. It's hard to not get jaded with teaching. It's so fast paced, so demanding. And that's why I think when they offer you sabbatical every 6 years, do it. Like go on sabbatical. I think it's life changing. Well,
I'm really happy for you, even though I'm at the same time very disappointed that you're leaving us. But I guess this segues into the next question I have for you is, now that this is happening, how do you feel about leaving Korea, since you originally came thinking that this is, I was lost and now I've become local. Speaking of, our lost and local has now changed. Like we're not two Korean citizens figuring out life in Korea.
Yeah.
So it's funny because you're going to be the lost and I'll be the local.
I know. Representing lost.
But anyway, because you came to Korea originally thinking this is where I'm going to build my roots. I'm coming back to my passport country. And now less than a year, you're off to another adventure. What are some thoughts and feelings that you're having right now?
Yeah, so a lot of thoughts, and they're constantly circulating in my mind. So one moment I'm like really excited to go to India for similar reasons as Yeon. It's okay to be a foreigner in a foreign country, but it's harder to be a foreigner in your own passport country. There's this kind of
that makes sense.
Disconnect and a little bit of disappointment in yourself. You're like, why can't I adjust? Or like you always feel like there's something different about you, and it's hard to pinpoint what exactly it is, and so you can't change it. So in that way, I think I do feel excited, and the fact that I'm working at an international school means there's gonna be more people like me, and I'm gonna be the teacher I never had, which is really exciting because I loved all my teachers, but none of them were Asian and none of them grew up in different countries. And so to have another teacher who walked the same path, did the same thing, I think is really healing for my inner child. So in that way, I'm really excited, but in other ways, it's hard to pivot from something you thought you were going to do, right? Like you said, I came here thinking I'm going to put down my roots in Korea. This is my forever home. And then I get uprooted just as easily. And it was but we got to stick to the plan, come back to the plan. So in that way, I kind of sometimes wonder, did I give up? Is this me giving up? Or is this me choosing the best option that I had?
Yeah.
And multiple things can be true at once, right? If I had to stick it out in Korea, I'm sure I could have. And I just chose not to. And there's no right or wrong answer. It's just decisions. I also have a lot of FOMO, fear of missing out, because I talk about my my volleyball and soccer team all the time. I'm so sorry, guys. Shout out, you're awesome. We're just starting to bond.
You're finally breaking down the barriers and you're getting that trust built up with them.
Finally breaking down the K wall.
Oh, I've never heard of that K wall.
No,
That's
I just made it up.
Okay. That's why I never heard of it.
I finally made it past the introversion, stage, and my volleyball team is gonna start traveling all across Korea to do games and to compete against other cities. And
Oh,
I'm just like, you
no.
couldn't have done that 6 months ago.
Oh my gosh, that sounds so fun.
I know. So I get to join the first game. So I get my own jersey and everything, but I won't be able to play any of the other games for the season.
Man.
So when I heard that, I was like so sad. And I was like, should I rescind my offer? Like,
seriously, because when you like go into competitions, it really galvanizes your team, and you really feel like a sense of like team and belonging versus just doing it just for fun pickup.
yeah.
That sounds so fun.
And like traveling to other parts of Korea
Yeah.
means you're staying overnight.
Try new foods,
Yeah.
new places. Oh my gosh.
And as someone like in my 30s, it's really hard to find that kind of community.
Yeah.
Like not that many people are invested. I don't know. I was like, oh my gosh, I can like imagine what my life would have looked like if I chose to stay in Korea and like I just worked at a hagwon or something. Like this could have been my life. And I was like, is working with other international students worth giving up this dream? I don't know. I was like really torn. And like soccer too, because I hit the 3-month mark, we're slowly starting to like talk to each other. And with soccer, it's a little different because you have to know other people's names because you have to pass across the field. Whereas volleyball, you just yell left.
That's true.
You're like left, and then someone left is just hitting. But soccer, you're like, pass to me. I'm open. Like you got to call their names. So now I know everyone's names. They know my name. And like I found out that this other girl who's really, really good, she's my age. Something in Korea, like being the same age, it just brings you
that's true.
really close.
Because Koreans definitely like to figure out what your age you are.
Yeah, and the
unlike
hierarchy.
in the US, that's not a thing. We don't ask people how old you are. Oh,
but there's like an instant connection if
Yeah,
you're the
yeah, for
same
sure.
age. And so like yesterday, immediately she's like, let's not use honorifics. Like immediately after finding out I was the same age as her, she's like, let's just 반말하자. And I was like, oh, like this is great. And then all the other girls were like, oh, you're an 언니. And then the way they like treated me was a little more friendlier than like before. This could have been my life.
Yeah.
This could have been my life.
However, I feel like you being in this opportunity to teach in a multicultural setting and give back to students is going to be a lot more fulfilling than a hagwon.
That's true. That's true. That's the conclusion I came to too.
Yeah.
Especially if I'm so meaning driven and I don't believe in just studying to test well. Testing is important, but like it's not the ultimate goal of education. I don't think a hagwon is going to be a sustainable option for me.
Could you just tell us what a hagwon is for the people that hagwon?
A hagwon is like a after school academy where they like drill you in a specific subject area. Most of the times it's for testing because Korea has a lot of high stakes testing.
Oh yeah.
There's also SAT hagwons because there's a lot of international students in Korea. And I suck at that. I am not
My
a good
wife
tester.
is amazing at that.
I know.
But
Hyojin is like the queen. The queen of all subjects. She teaches all subjects, right?
She teaches
I
everything.
can't. Not anything with STEM. I'm just like, bye. Yeah.
Okay. It's almost like you were, in a sense, groomed for this position. And I mean, groomed is like, it doesn't sound like, okay, wrong word. It's like God was developing you for this position.
Yes.
Because a lot of these students who are probably going to be at this school are displaced in some fashion or form.
Yeah.
Or even if it's the local kids are taken out of the local school system and they're put into this international setting. So because you grew up in China, you grew up in the States for a little bit, you went to China, then you went to Korea, and you were in a school system where you got to see bad teachers and good teachers. You are like going to be able to be more empathetic to these kids than if it were just someone like me who applied to go to India and teach. I only have the upbringing of one junior high, one high school, one elementary school, all in the same town, where you have all these different experiences. I feel like that's going to be a huge benefit for you.
Yeah. No, I agree. And I'm excited to do that because I didn't have that opportunity in Boston, which is very interesting about America. Like it is a melting pot, but everyone at the end of the day kind of conforms to one culture.
Makes sense because that's what you're exposed to,
I guess.
right?
But not every country operates that way. There's not always that uniform, we have to assimilate in this way.
Really?
Yeah.
I mean, well, since we've often contrasted Korea and America, is it not like this in Korea?
No, Korea's very
Okay.
homogenous.
Okay, I was like trying to
But
figure out.
like India, for example, I mean, I'm not an expert in India.
But you soon will be. I'm excited I'm excited for these update episodes while you're in India, giving us all the cluing us in on what
Being a local in
what is
India.
going on. Yeah.
But even India, like there's so many different languages and so many different unique regional cultures, right?
Okay.
And
Because
so-
India's huge.
Yeah, India's huge.
Didn't they surpass China in terms of population?
I don't know.
Okay, let's pause this for just a second.
Did India's... Yes! April 2023.
There you go.
Look
See,
at you.
I remember like India is it's one of the few countries that are not having the
Low birth rates.
low birth rates yet.
Okay.
And I think some of the India is obviously, or maybe they're not, but they're definitely right now the largest population in the world.
Oh,
It's
really?
interesting that India too is they're technically Asian, but if you ask a lot of Indians if they're Asian, I saw oh, am I right?
Largest population.
Yeah.
As of July 1st, 2025.
Oh gosh.
Breaking news.
Breaking news. Asian boss, they're
Oh, wait. Sorry. It's not even July 1st, 2025.
I know, but
Oh, it will be
it
estimated.
will be estimated. Okay.
Yeah, sorry.
Well, Asian boss did an interview in India because Indians are Asians, and they asked Indians, "Do you consider yourself Asian?" And there was a decent amount of percentage of these Indian people in their probably 20s and 30s who said more that they are considered themselves Indian more than Asian.
I feel like that makes sense because Asia is so big.
So vast.
Like Russia is technically Asia, but we wouldn't lump Russian culture into East Asian culture, right? Like, yeah. But I totally get it because something I learned recently is like they actually make the highest number of CEOs worldwide but you know, the concept of the bamboo ceiling, like most East Asians aren't able to make it to senior level positions for whatever reason, but like Indians defy that statistic and they're able to
they're breaking that mold and breaking into major companies.
Yeah, like C-level roles.
Oh, yeah, because Satya, the CEO of Google, someone, there's a decent amount of major CEOs.
No, a lot of them. Sundar
Pichai, Satya, something, Della, something. Yeah, there's
a lot of them. Yeah,
there's a decent amount of
Indian CEOs.
high, and then there's like Chamath Palihapitiya. He's a big finance guy. But there's a lot of Indians that have really
roles,
risen to the high level.
And they say the reason is because Indian culture is very different from East Asian culture, and they're very like outspoken. There's no humble. You know how like East Asians, you're like, oh, I'm really bad at it, but they're like really good at it. But they don't want to like show off that they're good at it. It's like it's humble and modest to downplay your accomplishments, but that's not a part of Indian culture. And so if you're good at something, you're like, I'm good at this. And you're much more outspoken. You advocate for yourself. And that's how you're like rising in those positions.
So you're gonna be thrown into a whole different way of thinking.
Yeah.
Your paradigm of thinking is gonna be kind of thrown off, but that's where growth happens in life.
Speaking of getting outside of our comfort zones, it'll be really outside of our comfort zone.
So I'm really curious.
Yeah.
So you have, for teachers that come to Korea, if you're going to teach at a school that's similar to where you're teaching in India, Korea will generally provide the board, like the room.
Oh,
the room
an
and board.
apartment. Yeah.
Like how about you? Like what's
same?
What's going on?
It's a little different because the school I'm working at doesn't own their own apartments, but they're helping me find an apartment. And then they give me a stipend. And so whatever I don't use in the stipend, I get to keep, which is nice. And then they cover all utilities.
Really?
Yeah, they're furnishing the entire thing for me.
Okay.
It was nice.
Yeah. And then if you had your own furniture, you can just add your own furniture. But that's nice that they provide everything for you.
Yeah.
That's cool. And that utilities, that's cool.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Wow.
I know. I'm going to be pampered.
Just run that AC 24/7.
I might have to some of the months. It's so hot.
And get yourself, I know they'll probably provide a air purifier.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
But you know what? I would get another one.
They're providing one per room, I think.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
They've got it covered. I'm
just saying, like, because I would just.
Better safe than sorry. Yeah. No, I agree.
Could you clue us in on anything else about the whole moving in process? I mean, you can give us more details when you actually experience it. When you get to the airport and when you need to get around in places, I heard that you have something like...
Oh, yeah. So the school is very generous. They are providing a driver to get me from my apartment to school. So like Monday through Friday.
That's great.
That's really awesome. Yeah. And then New Delhi's transportation system is actually really nice. Like they have a metro system.
They have a
pretty
subway
good.
metro system.
Yeah, like I've been watching so many YouTube videos and it's like so clean and so nice.
Yeah.
So I'll probably be using that on the weekends to explore.
Yeah.
Like New Delhi in itself is so big.
Yeah.
Like
I mean, yeah, India's huge.
yeah, and they just have like UNESCO like what do you call those things? Not sites, but like architecture stuff.
Oh, like
UNESCO. Like it's just casually in the city, in the heart of the city, and you can just go and see it.
Oh.
Like you don't have to travel all the way to a different.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
They just have a bunch of like
You know what we're talking about, right? Listeners. Is it a site? Is it a UNESCO heritage site? Maybe it's a site. Anyway, there's a lot of like historical things that you can go see.
Yeah.
I'm really excited to go see the Taj Mahal sometime. And then
is the Taj Mahal in New Delhi?
no, it's like a 2-hour drive.
Oh, that's it?
Yeah, it's not bad, right? So
because India is huge.
yeah. So I definitely want to go there. And then
Wow.
Ladakh or Leh, I forget exactly, but it's like you can see the Himalayas. So I heard India has like almost all the terrains, so you can experience so many different things.
Okay.
Like they have their own version of Hawaii, like beautiful beaches, beautiful nature. Yeah, so I'm really excited.
Wow.
I hope you and Hyojin can visit so we can go together.
Seriously, like that's one of the countries that Hyojin really wants to go to, and I'm like, well, babe, we don't really know anyone there, and I feel like India is a place that you kind of probably want to know someone.
That's true.
I mean, not that I just my perception is that India is probably would be more advantageous to know someone. So yeah, that's definitely going to be a great excuse for us to cross that off her bucket list.
Please come.
So India has 33 million people in 2000. I mean, New Delhi has 33 million people as of 2024.
How much does Seoul have?
We have like 10 million. Yeah. But if you count the Seoul greater metropolitan area, it's probably closer to 15 to 20. But within the actual Seoul city limits, it's at 10.
Okay, now I'm a little scared.
Yeah,
it's
a lot of people. I'm introverted, but I like being in big crowds. I like a lot of people, but I don't know, Hannah, you're going to have to...
I'm extroverted, but I don't like big crowds.
Yeah, that's funny. An extrovert doesn't like big crowds and an introvert does. But yeah.
What's nice about having grown up in China, the pictures of New Delhi, in like rural areas of New Delhi, remind me of my childhood.
Yeah, so it'll be familiar to you.
In a sense.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I love open markets, love exploring, love seeing things. Like, you know, like the Shijangs here are like my favorite. Like I love just exploring.
This is why I live at Isu Tongshan University area. It's because of the amazing Xijang here.
And I love trying new foods. So I'm excited to learn more about Indian cuisine. Because I'm sure that the Indian cuisine we have in the States is very limited.
Sure. Or in Korea or the States. Yeah.
Yeah. It's probably just things that foreigners like. And
Yeah.
there's probably a much more vast selection of foods that I can try. So I'm really excited.
Eat like kimchi for natural probiotics to keep your stomach nice and like robust.
Yogurt.
Very strong for all the extra foods that you're going to be putting in. Because yeah. So eat wisely and yeah. But I'm sure there's going to be, in New Delhi being a city of 33 million people, you're going to have your choices of all kinds of genres of food. So if you're missing Korean food or you want Thai food, you're going to be able to find it.
Yeah. And you know what's so cute? The school personnel who was helping me find an apartment, he gave me a screenshot with all the Korean restaurants near my apartment.
That's really sweet.
Yeah,
that's very thoughtful.
Like, that's so like hospitable. Like he cared enough to think about those things and like screenshot that and like send it to me. And I was also very Korean because I told that person that I wanted 남향집. That's a south facing house.
Oh,
because in Korea that's really important.
Seriously.
Yeah. But in the States, if I asked that to a realtor, they'd be like, we don't know. Like, I don't know what direction the house is facing. And they would like brush it off. But this guy was like, oh yeah, I can like ask the landlord to do the compass thing to show you what direction the house is facing. And then he screenshotted that and sent it to me too, to be like, it's a south facing apartment.
That's really cool.
Yeah. So I was like, oh, they're so friendly.
Yeah. The Indian accent it's very, at the beginning, it was very hard for me to grasp and understand. But I made an Indian friend when I was 20 years old in Indiana, at Indianapolis, when I was going to university there. I began to appreciate the Indian accent, and he became very endearing to me.
Oh,
but the Indian accent, it's hard to initially understand, but it's not too bad.
I think it's easier than like Irish accents.
Oh, true. Like deep South in America accents.
That's true. Very hard to understand for people like me.
Indians, is there English more influenced by British?
Yeah, I think so.
Which is probably why their English is more articulate and concise than the
Americans.
the slang that gets really picked up in America. Because quite frankly, I think American English is looked down upon by most English-speaking countries.
Yeah.
Because they're like, oh, there's so much slang and they're so uncouth and so like crass.
I'm so sad. I'm so sad. That's what my cousin says. So she went to a British school in Hong Kong and then she now lives in London. Okay. Whenever we talk, she's like, why do you have to sound so American? What do you mean? I'm just speaking.
Sure.
Yeah.
I think just the cadence of U.S. States English, because like is something we use a lot. And I lived in California for 8 years. So like, and then when I moved back up to the Pacific Northwest, a lot of people will end their sentences right.
Oh, really?
Like, oh, it's like cold, right? And then your answer is right. And like, I had to stop myself from saying right a lot because we say it in the Pacific Northwest and then Southwest, we say like and anyway.
Learn something new.
Speaking about food, so you said that they were very kind about sending you some information on Korean restaurants and places, but what are your thoughts? Are you going to try to make food at home more often? Are you going to go out? What are you thinking? What are you thinking about? Does your school, are you going to get to eat free lunches there? Like
no.
Really?
Yeah. That's one sad part.
Okay.
I mean, they give like meal vouchers, but it doesn't cover every single meal.
Okay. But you can eat.
Oh yeah. I have access to
I'm sure it's not
food.
that expensive.
Yeah.
But
very true. Yeah.
Okay.
But I don't know. I know that a lot of expats hire help. So like a housekeeper or a cook or a driver. But since the school's providing a driver, I don't need to hire a driver. But I would like to hire a cook because I don't like cooking.
Yeah.
I'm an okay cook actually because in the States, it's so much cheaper to cook at home. I'm not showing off, but like objectively, I cook better food than some of the Korean restaurants there.
Oh, I'm sure you do. It makes me sad that you never cooked for us, for Hyojin and I. What's going on here? She's talking a big game now.
Before I leave, I gotta brush up my cooking skills. But yeah, so I can cook, but I just don't like cooking for myself. I prefer cooking for like people, like groups of people. Then you can get diversity, and it's much more like fun to eat instead of just eating on my own. So I think it'd be nice to have someone like help me with cooking and like help me with the groceries, like teach me how to barter.
And it'll be so affordable.
Yeah, food is
and you're actually helping out the economy too by hiring people.
Yeah.
So, because I remember when I was talking to the family, they're actually originally from the Midwest, but they served in Indonesia for 20 years under the Mission Aviation Fellowship. But when they were in Indonesia, they hired people all the time. They hired people to be the nanny. They hired people to make food. So it's very common.
Yeah.
Even I'm sure was that something that you guys did in China or not? Did you guys hire people, or is it a different?
We did, but it wasn't as common as like India or Singapore or Hong Kong.
Okay.
Yeah. Because
those type of places.
In those countries, even the houses, they have built-in rooms.
Oh, for
your housekeeper.
People.
Yeah.
Okay.
Like it's that ingrained into the culture. Whereas in where I lived in China, it wasn't. But a lot of people did like expect us to hire someone, and we did hire someone to help out with the household chores like half of the time. Yeah.
You're gonna get spoiled. I mean, you might come back from India being like, wait, why isn't anyone making my food for me? What's going on? You're going to get, it's going to be, maybe it's going to be hard for you to ever leave.
It might be. And I would actually not mind that. To like live in a new country for a good chunk of time instead of moving every 2 years, which a lot of international teachers end up doing. Like once their contract ends, it's usually like a 2 to 3 year period.
Yeah.
And usually, not everyone, some people stay, but usually they're like, oh, we want to explore the world. So they go to a different country and they live for 2-3 years and they move to another country. But I don't know. I don't think I want to move every 2-3 years. That's a lot of work.
Well, if you do it, you'll probably only want to do it while you're still in your 30s. Or if you're still single. If you're still single and ready to mingle, that might be one thing. But if you're married and
raising a family, that's hard.
I mean, maybe there'll be some cute, handsome single men
who love Jesus.
Yeah,
please.
Yeah, maybe they're just waiting for you.
Please.
But yeah, we're excited to figure out like what happens with where you find a church community. So this whole India adventure, we're gonna get to kind of come alongside you and get some updates. I'm excited to hear that. You're gonna have to take some pictures and some like videos on your iPhone and give them to me so I can edit it and we can show people like what life is like, because I think a lot of people would be interested.
You know, actually, Adam, I was doing a little bit of market research on YouTube, you know?
Okay.
And a lot of footage about India is from people who are like backpacking.
Okay.
So that's not a really like accurate view of what life is like in New Delhi. Okay. And then this one other person I found, like, they're constantly cooking at home. This is not New Delhi.
Not helping you. Yeah.
Yeah, like it's not helping me understand what life in New Delhi is like. So I think it's actually like a good open market right now. And like there's a need for someone to
Hannah might have a YouTube channel. She might do her own YouTube channel.
No. I'll just share my exclusive footage to Adam, who'll add it here.
Lost and local.
Yeah.
Okay. Wow. So we're going to have a new jingle because we're not two Korean citizens anymore. I mean, you're a Korean citizen, but you're not living locally any longer.
Two Korean citizens, one is lost and one is local in
Korea. One lost in New Delhi and the other local. Oh, yeah. This was, it was a very interesting podcast, but a sad one at the same time.
Oh.
But I'll be back. we're definitely excited for you, Hannah.
Thank you.
Yeah, I'm excited to kind of come alongside you metaphorically and through the videos and through just the Lost and Local podcast.
Yeah.
Fortunately, we did this podcast prior to Hannah understanding that she might go to India. So if she already got that offer, we might not have started the podcast. So this is good that we did this. So now Hannah can't escape us. She could be like, "Oh, sorry, the heart grows forgetful over time." But now the all the audience is going to be like, "Yeah, you guys can't stop the Lost and Local podcast. You're going to have to continue on." So yes, we will do remote Lost and Local podcasts. But yeah, we're definitely excited for the future for Hannah as well as the podcast, because I think we'll have a lot of interesting material.
Definitely.
That's the one good caveat out of the whole loss of losing Hannah physically here in Korea. But you'll be back for a couple, did you say a couple months in the summer?
Yeah, 2 months in the summer, like a month in the winter. And like, I think what's cool is for me, I get to have sort of like an archive of what my life is like, right? Because a lot of the times, if I don't write something down or if I don't take a picture, it's gone. It's like not in my memory anymore.
Yeah.
But through this podcast, we're kind of capturing these moments.
Yeah, we're archiving our life in some ways.
Yeah. And I think it'll be really fun for other people to also see our journey, changes in your life, changes in my life. And
we'll be like,
guest
look how young we were back then.
But actually.
Yeah, this was fun. But thank you all for checking out the podcast, and hopefully we gave you a good enough title to make you click onto this one. But yeah, in the meantime, you all, we will definitely continue this podcast, even though Hannah is physically not here locally soon. But yeah, this was fun. We look forward to the future, and we'll see you in the next episode. In the meantime, you guys, God bless. Peace.
Bye.